One of the great features with Ecamm Live's interview mode is the ability to use the white labeling feature. This will allow you to have your own customized branding, your own messaging, so essentially to create your own little green room when you're inviting guests and people to your show or to join you for recorded rooms or what have you, even if you're not live. Let's go ahead and go through some of the customized settings that you have available when doing this. When you're within your Ecamm window, whether you're recording or what have you, you can go through and make these changes, but I would encourage you to make these changes before inviting someone, so that way they are able to experience all of these wonderful features. You will need to make sure that your interview mode is enabled to get the best experience with this, as well as if you're going to test this. So when you click on these two people here, and you'll want to make sure that your interview is in the on position versus the off position. Then you'll see as you come down here, I already have mine set up here, and you can click on the gear window if you want to customize or change things. And then if you go ahead and select this icon here, this text, then this will bring up for the interview chat, but that's not what we need for this specific area. But just so you're familiar with what you're seeing here, but you will need to go ahead and click on this gear window, or you'll have this drop down icon, which will go into a few other things, but let's just go to new interview settings. You'll now have a box that comes up with a few different areas that includes your page title, light mode for the logo, or a open the graph mode. You'll have a dark mode, so you can see whether that person chooses to have things in a light or dark mode, depending on their preference or visual needs, what that person will see. And then you also have here where you'll have the guest domain, which could be a myriad of options that you can select from all of these here. I personally just prefer to keep it at the guest.ecamm.live, but you can choose from any of these links that you can use when inviting your guests. There's also some preferences that make it very nice when you're using your specific interview settings, just to make sure that people are seeing and being exposed to the things that you want when you're bringing them on as a guest for live streaming, or if you're doing recorded interviews or shows when you're not live at all. If you go ahead and select the default to dark mode, that means when someone joins, they'll only see the dark mode first versus the light mode, but they'll always have the option to toggle between one or the other for their preference. I do like to make sure that this button here for the allow the private chat is available, as well as show the viewer comments and show the viewer count. So that way, if we are live and we're not doing a recorded session, that specific guest is able to see that. Some hosts prefer to turn that off because they don't want to distract away from how many people come and leave, or how many people are going in the chat, depending on how busy and active your streams are. This may be options that you'll need to consider using wisely, but for me, I prefer to leave these on, so these are going to be selected here. The other option that you have available here is to turn off audio processing for the guests. I don't worry about this option, so I leave this unchecked here. But if you are going to use any kind of musics, or you're trying to do any kind of collaborations with other musicians or artists, you may want to select this option depending on what your preference is. If I come down here to this option, I can select my specific green room and make sure that that option is selected, because you can switch between multiple shows. So let's say you have one for your nonprofit, one you have for your business, and let's say a show that you do with a friend. Depending on who you invite for any one of those things, you can have your specific brand layout that's available no matter what it is that you're doing. So that way, when you're inviting people, they're seeing it for that specific show versus just maybe with the Ecamm logo only. But let's go ahead and click on my gear window, and I'll show you some of the things that I have set up for mine. For me, I went ahead and renamed my page title to what I usually have, which is for my brand, which is called Video Simplified, and the guest green room. So that way, when the person is joining, they're familiar with the terminology of green room, even if they haven't been on the podcast or a show before. This is pretty synonymous with your wait here place. The other thing that I have is that I have my specific graphic and image selected, which these are two very different icons. It will tell you that you need a 1200 by 630 pixels tall. A program like canva.com is fantastic for creating graphics like this. And this is what we use in my company and have been for some years. And then we have this other one here that's going to be the logo in the bottom left corner when specifically in dark mode. Again, I prefer the guest.ecamm.live, but you can select whichever you prefer when people are joining. And these are the options that I have here. Anytime I want to reset my link, I can come down here to reset link. If I want to delete my settings, I can delete my settings here. And if I make any changes, I can always click save, and those options are available. But let's see what this looks like for the guest. We're here now in an incognito window. And I do need to be careful with the audio so that we're not hearing any dual audio sources or infinity loops and things like that. So as soon as I select the microphone source, I'm going to go ahead and mute that over here as a guest. But when your guest first joins the Ecamm, this is pretty representative of what they'll see. They'll be able to see that Ecamm is asking to share your camera and your microphone and allow it to see it. So you do want to inform your guest, especially if they've never used your platform before, that it is okay to go ahead and accept these and that it's safe, and to go ahead and select allow. Once you do this, your options will now become available. Now, mine will select a terrible virtual camera source that's coming from the webcam, and I don't want to do that. I prefer it to just be my Camlink 4K, or if you want to leverage your Ecamm virtual camera source, you can select that there, and then you'll see like a little bit of an infinity loop bit here, but you have that option available also. So if they're using Ecamm and they want to share their Ecamm virtual camera, that is available to them. We'll go ahead and select just the Ecamm Camlink 4K, and then I can see that it's selecting the audio source here for the internal microphone, and just make sure that their regular microphone is selected, and then they can place their name here and select the join button when they're ready. A couple things that you'll notice, and I'm going to go ahead and mute here, is that they're already in the dark mode. The Video Simplified logo that I set up in my white labeling is now available. In addition to this connecting symbol is here where it's waiting for me to select. But there's a few other options like the chat that's available for myself, which would be the guest here. And for the comments, you can go ahead and select that in the guest chat and have the ability to type messages to one another. And then also this comments area is where they'll be able to see any public comments if that's available. And they can always condense that window by clicking here. As always, they can select in the bottom right corner if they want to go to a light mode or if they prefer to go to a dark mode. Now, if you don't have any icons selected for them when they go into a light mode, as you can see down here, mine turned into a crazy icon. Nothing is available because I prefer that they stay in the dark mode. This also helps with glares in the glasses, so quick pro tip there. If we come over here to our Ecamm source window, what we will see as the host is that this person is now calling in. Unless they hang up, or unless we hang up on them, then they won't be able to join the stream. We'll just have to wait. But once you select the green icon to essentially pick up the phone, that person will then become available. However, this person is not able to be brought into the show. They're not able to be heard because they're still in technically the green room. So as you can see, it says the guest is in the green room and they have like a gray film, or if you will, they're kind of faded out here. What you can do, and these are great things to do when you're getting ready to set up for a guest, is assign them to a seat. So if you have created a space for a guest to come in, you want to go ahead and assign them, let's say, to guest seat number 1. And you can do all this while they're still in the green room. I usually like to send a message to them and ask them, is your audio okay? So as a guest, I'll go over here and say, I'm ready to join. My audio is great, and hit enter. And even though my chat bubble as the host is not available yet, I can see this here with this red icon that I have a new message. If I click on this, a new chat window will become available, and I can just reposition this here, and they can say I'm ready, or you can have a message that's sitting there and you can tell them, let me know when you're ready to join. They can send emojis and things like that, and it's very helpful just to be able to see. And your guests can talk to other guests. So if you have multiple people here, everyone will be able to see everything that's going on in the chat. It's really, really neat. When you're ready to disconnect your guests, all you need to do is hit the hang up button, and that person will be knocked out of the stream. However, if we go back to our screen share window of what they'll see for the private labeling, they'll still be able to see your icon, any of the previous messages, and they will have the ability to reconnect. So if the internet connected out or you accidentally press that button, it's as simple as hitting reconnect, and that person will now start to call back into the show. You will get a message to show that this person is trying to call back in once they hit the join button, and that will pop up, and you can re-bring them back in or say, no thanks, we've had enough of you, and they will be kicked back out of the show. And it doesn't have to disturb anything that you're doing, whether you're recording or live streaming. This white labeling feature is amazing because it will allow you to continue to have a customized and branded look no matter how many shows that you have. So that way you can switch from one account to the next, and your audience is none the wiser and your guests are none the wiser, because you'll have various different scenes and setups for your various shows, and you'll be able to customize the way that your interview looks with that interview white labeling feature.